The Oklahoma City Thunder just lost in 7 games to the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs move on to the finals, and now the Thunder are probably going to spend this offseason looking for answers to some questions about their team, about their roster, about this problem they have with the San Antonio Spurs, because the Spurs ain't going nowhere. In this video, let's discuss some truths, some stuff that some people might not agree with, some things I think a lot of people will. Anybody with logic and sense will probably understand these things. There might be some fans and fanatics and some people who are kind of stuck in the moment, right? Victims of what currently has happened, and they won't see a big picture. But let's just discuss a couple of things. First of all, the Oklahoma City Thunder are clearly a top team in the NBA. Top 2 or 3, however you want to look at it. They are right there. For anybody to insinuate that all of a sudden now the Thunder are no longer capable of competing for NBA titles, they are clearly disconnected from reality. All right, so the Thunder are still a damn good team. They could run it back next year the same way they did this year and win an NBA championship. I think what people forget is that Jalen Williams has been unavailable the entire season. That didn't matter against every other team except the Spurs. Why does it matter against the Spurs? Because the Spurs match up really well against the Thunder. So if you are missing J-Dub, it's going to hurt. It's going to matter. It's going to be a dynamic of scoring that you don't have. How many times did we see in the series where the Thunder were having trouble scoring? How many breaks was SJ able to take extended on the bench? So it absolutely mattered. Even though J-Dub was available for a couple games, he clearly wasn't himself. He ended up aggravating his hamstring and just wasn't available, right? Another thing that we have to discuss is Chet Holmgren. He clearly is a fantastic NBA player. His struggles come in a very important matchup against Wemby. That's not going to change. The harsh truth there is that there may never come a day where Chet Holmgren is all of a sudden an effective player against Wemby. He may be able to do it from time to time, from game to game, play to play, whatever, but he's never going to dominate a 7-game series against Wemby. That day won't happen, clearly. So you see there's 2 sides to that coin, right? There's a version of this where the Thunder get back to the Western Conference Finals next year, play the Spurs, and lose. And then there's a version where they get back to the Western Conference Finals and beat the Spurs. Should they be fully healthy? Or how about if the fact that Wemby, who has been injury-prone so far in his young NBA career, has also been injury-prone? There's a version of this where the Thunder don't even have to deal with a fully capable, healthy roster for the Spurs. I don't know what the Thunder really need to do. I don't know. Now, you can't go into the offseason and say, well, we're just going to hope that the Spurs are going to have injury problems with Wemby and those kind of things. That's not how you operate. But what I think is important to understand is circumstance may have been part of the reason why the Thunder didn't win. It's not to excuse SGA's less than stellar performance against the Spurs. He could have played better, but let's tell the truth. The Spurs are really good. They made SGA a little bit lesser than what he normally is. It wasn't just that SGA wasn't good. It was that the Spurs were damn good, defending him very well, holding him below his standard across multiple games in the series. So a lot of truths in there. A lot of reality is in there. These aren't excuses. They're explanations for outcomes. Right? I'm not my team is the Cavs. So I have no dog in this fight. But there's a version of this where the Spurs win a championship this year, and then there's a version where they lose to the Knicks. We have to wait and see. And there's a version of this where the Spurs come back and, let's say they win a championship. They try to defend it, and they defend it, and maybe that happens. It doesn't happen often, but then there's a version where they lose, and then there's a version where somebody gets injured, and it's them who has to deal with it, right? The depth clearly for the Spurs, even better than the depth for the Thunder. And then the Thunder can retool. They could put a couple of guys in a trade package, some picks, right? Bring in something of importance to maybe support the scoring alongside SGA. I, for one, expect J-Dub to look at himself in the mirror over the offseason and better prepare himself to be conditioned and avoid injury during the season, because that thing lingered all year. Chet maybe stepping up his game. He clearly has improvements to make. He really can't disappear during an NBA Finals game, like he did in Game 7. And SGA too, right? He didn't have a great series. But the last thing I'll leave you guys with is this, because I love truth bombs. The last thing, and I said this last year after the Thunder won the NBA Finals, people were talking about the Thunder having a dynasty. They didn't even win 2 titles. They won 1 championship, and people were talking about a Thunder dynasty. This is what happens when things get hyperbolic and people start to become prisoner of the moment, forgetting that in order to be a dynasty, you have to start by winning 2 titles, maybe winning 3, 4, possibly 5 within a 6-year run, 7 years. They won 1 title, and they ran into a San Antonio buzzsaw who is going nowhere. They're going to have to deal with them for the next 10 years. Why people were talking about a dynasty last year, it's incredible. And then they'll do it this year in the offseason. The modern NBA fan is insanely stuck in these crazy hyperbolic moments. It's all hyperbole. They start overstating everything, and then things fall apart and there's no accountability. They just say whatever they want. This is the NBA. There's parity in the NBA. There's a reason why teams don't defend the title, right? New teams step up, new conditions, circumstances, and you get a new winner each season. But anyways, a lot of truth bombs in there. But yes, are the Thunder looking to make some adjustments and moves to the roster? Possibly. Will they run it back exactly the same? Probably not. Will the Spurs win the NBA Finals this year? Maybe. Could they win it next year? Maybe. There's a lot of maybes, and you just don't know, because those things have to happen. But I'm not going to overreact to this. The Thunder will be back. They will be competing for a chance to get back to the finals. And there is a version of this where they win a championship next year, possibly, and at least get the opportunity to represent the West in the NBA Finals. And that may not happen as well. You have to wait and see. You have people playing predictor without considering all sides, and very often it leaves people looking foolish. Anyways, let me know what you guys think is the most likely outcome for the Thunder. What do they need to do in the offseason? What should they do? Do you think they have a chance to get back to the Western Conference Finals? Can they beat the Spurs if fully healthy with their team in place? Or do you think the Spurs are, like everybody else, prisoner of the moment? The Spurs are going to win the next 50 NBA titles with Wemby. Let me know. Drop me some comments.